Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. We will be talking about SCAN. You may have seen it announced over the course of the last few months, but I wanted to dedicate a full webinar to our new product and get to know our new QR plus link management app. We're going to go over a lot of exciting things today. So buckle up. Also, while we wait, just if you have your phone handy, be sure to pull that out because you're going to need it here in just a little bit. But while we wait for people to trickle in, I'd love to go over the outline of today's presentation. The introduction will be short. It's just me today, although I do have some helpers on the back end that I'll introduce as well. I'm Tim Sessions, the Director of Client Services. If you are a veteran around here, you've probably seen or heard my voice on these webinars. So it's a great opportunity to get to know you a little better, introduce myself, and have this opportunity to present exciting information. Like I mentioned at the top of this, we have an introduction to our new app, SCAN, and we'll be going over all the ins and outs. One thing I would like to encourage, though, is with us on the back end are London Sutherland. She's the Director of Marketing. We have Ross, who is the Director of Product. And we have Ryan, who is a Client Success Manager. And they are all at your disposal to answer questions. Also, you'll see Ryan in the chat throwing in some links and polls that will help with the interactive element of this presentation. But with that being said, if you have something you want to say, any sort of feedback, I'd encourage you to use the chat screen. But if you have those burning questions that you want answered on our webinar today, then throw those in the Q&A because that helps us track the questions and give answers. Also, it helps us after the webinar to see what you all are interested in. So I'd encourage you to throw those questions in the Q&A section. But if you have any sort of chat information that you want to throw out there, feel free to do so. And with that, I'd love to know where people are tuning in from. So if you just want to give a state or a location, that would be awesome to see in the chat if you want to throw that in there. At the end of this, we'll also be reserving time for a Q&A. And then, of course, we will be throwing in the $100 gift card giveaway. So hopefully you have your phones pulled out. If not, you will see a link in the chat to our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. On the screen there is a QR code. We are all familiar with QR codes, especially within the last 4 years. They've really made their resurgence, but it is also the topic of this presentation. So go ahead and pull out your phone, your device, scan that QR code. You'll be taken to a form to fill out to enter to win $100, which we will be announcing at the end of this presentation. You'll also have some opportunities to enter down the road as well. So and of course the link is in the chat as well. So the biggest question that I want to answer on today's webinar is why SCAN? And I'm actually not necessarily going to answer it myself. I have turned the question over to our co-founder who I did get a statement from. So I'm just going to quickly read the statement from Brian Green. Again, he is an audience co-founder. But he says, QR codes have made a remarkable comeback in recent years, and we wanted to help our clients capitalize on this growing trend. Today, we're thrilled to introduce SCAN, our latest product designed to help media companies connect with their audience across offline and online touchpoints. SCAN offers a feature-rich QR code designer with advanced customization options, in-depth analytics, and media-specific features, putting us on par with industry leaders like Flowcode. We're excited to see how your team will utilize SCAN to create engaging experiences that elevate your brand and grow your audience. So thank you so much to Brian, who was able to give us some more information on why we built this tool. But with SCAN, your team can leverage QR codes to instantly connect your audience to campaigns across TV, live events, print, and more, Our goal is to help you capture valuable first-party data, optimize your strategies, and build meaningful connections with your audience. Best of all, Scan is fully integrated with our existing suite of tools, allowing you to connect your campaigns to your text or connect your campaigns to QR codes and streamline your tech stack, and it's all managed under one roof. So let's take a look at what Scan looks like within the tool. When you launch it, you'll see a screen that looks similar to this, but I've dissected it a little bit here on the screen. So with Scan, you get a link shortener. So as you can see, I have the big registration link there shortened down into the ULink that, again, if you're familiar with our platform, that's the link that is connected to all sorts of things within our platform. So you get a link shortener. You also get a QR code generator. And we are most likely all familiar with generating QR codes as well. But another feature included with Scan is our dynamic URLs. And we're going to jump into that a little bit later because that really is the secret sauce to all of this. And then, of course, up there at the top, you're going to see probably what most of us are interested in, and that is the analytics section of what you get when you use Scan and what your users contribute to when they're scanning and entering off of dynamic URLs. So let's look at a brief overview of the analytics that will be available to you. As you can see up here on the screen, we'll be tracking total scans. You'll be able to see referrals. You'll be able to see which platforms individuals are coming from when you're using these dynamic URLs and these QR codes. As you can see, you can generate multiple links and create different segments with those links so you know who is interacting with what in Scan. Also, again, a little highlight there, you'll see your total scans. We've broken them down into, the last several days, the last month, current day, and so forth. And also, you can track your top performing codes and performing tags. So if you have like a primary promotion, you can see how those scans are doing, how they've done in the last 7 days. Weekday news, if you have it connected, you can create different topics that these QR codes and dynamic links are tied to and track their performance right within the analytics section of the Scan tool. Also, you'll be able to track the locations where individuals are scanning from. So as long as you're collecting that information or location data is available on your users, then you'll be able to see where people are scanning from. So top performing cities, top performing states, and so forth. This might look familiar if you're familiar with Google Analytics, but as you can see, we've kind of taken a page out of their book and we have picked the analytics that we feel are important to this tool. For instance, whether they're coming from mobile, whether they're coming from desktop, various engagement, the times of days that they're engaging, and also giving you the most popular time of day so that you can know with your programming when to launch these types of promotions utilizing Scan and dynamic URLs. And of course, we want to give you that device info as well. So whether they're coming from Android, iOS, or others, and then again, just a highlight on the times of day that those are available. So let's dive into QR codes. Again, it's something that we're all familiar with, and I just want to give you a little pop quiz. Who can throw in the chat what the QR in QR codes stands for? Go ahead and throw that in the chat and let's see what we come up with if the right answers in there. Okay, so with QR codes, real quick, QR codes bridge the gap between physical and digital experiences. They encourage deeper user interaction with media content. Print media can link to immersive digital experiences such as augmented reality, video content, interactive web pages, and it can significantly enhance user engagement. QR codes are streamlined. The QR codes will give you streamlined analytics and feedback collection. They facilitate tracking of user engagement and, like I said, feedback collection there. Media companies can monitor the frequency of QR code scans. So we just took a little deep dive into the analytics that will be available to you and the locations from where QR codes are scanned. So whether that's use this QR code in this location and this QR code in this location, this one got 20 scans, this one got 100 scans, this QR code obviously gets more traffic. There's something about it that we should learn and study. Those are the types of things that you can gain from QR codes and get real world, physical world data and information. You can also monitor the type of content accessed via QR codes. So what are people scanning for? And it enables media companies to refine strategies and content offerings based on concrete data. I think cost effective is something that is on all of our minds these days, and QR codes help provide with cost-effective marketing strategies. QR codes can be added to existing print and digital media at minimal cost. So whether it's a digital billboard or a location on some sort of print that is low cost and easy to add to, QR codes allow for that. Also, you can enhance the ROI of advertising campaigns by providing a measurable and direct response mechanism. Yes, and just looking, yep, quick response code. Great, looks like we got the answer there in the chat. Increased accessibility and convenience. QR codes enhance content accessibility and convenience for the audience. A simple scan grants access to a wide range of media, including podcasts, music, videos, articles, and it eliminates the need to type URLs or navigate throughout complex menus. And it significantly improves user experience and content reach. So there's a few things that you need to consider. I don't want to make this doom and gloom, but it's a reason why you should be using trusted sources for your QR code generators. And I wanted to dive into that briefly. There's more out there on this, but I kind of cherry picked the most important that I saw. You want to make sure that your QR code solution is compliant with company policies. So if your company has a policy, look into that and make sure that the QR code solution that you are using is compliant. But it's our goal here at Audience to make sure that our tool, Scan, is compliant because we've built it on our own Audience servers to ensure security and compliance. The scanned QR codes can be managed and monitored all in one location within your admin account. So they are, password protected. There are logs of who are editing and utilizing all the aspects of our tools. So if any questions come up on how this happened or why this happened, we have those resources available to us. Free QR code sites can fail, and QRs may be vulnerable to digital tampering. For instance, I know of a scenario where someone used a free QR code tool to generate a QR code to a big event that they were promoting, a live concert, and the QR code was generated 7 days prior to the event. Well, the tool that was used had a 7-day expiration. So at the time the event launched, that QR code was no longer valid, and the contest through Audience that they tied it to was inaccessible. So it was just an unfortunate circumstance. We had to scramble to find a solution because they had already printed those QR codes on various flyers and things at that festival. And so we had to make sure that we were able to reactivate that QR code for them. Free editors might not be as secure as you think they are. They might not be behind a password wall, and they could redirect to nefarious sites. For instance, there are ways to change QR code IDs or put in a QR code ID into a free editor. and change the URL that redirects to. And the last thing we'd want is for that to provide the scan over to some sort of site that is not good. So those are some things to keep in mind with your QR strategy. And those are areas that we are mitigating with our scan tool. So I already mentioned this, but the dynamic URLs are the secret sauce to all of this, because if you have a QR code and it doesn't link to anything, then all you have is a funky looking image that has no real use or value. So we've created these dynamic URLs that really are the engine to all of this. So in the scan tool, there is a menu for how you want the URL or those ULinks that I mentioned to interact with the real world. And you have several options. You have the default redirect, which is, use this URL to redirect to this URL. You can tie the URL to a QR code and it will just open up the web page that it's tied to. But we also have dynamic percentage redirects. And what that means is essentially A/B testing. Send 20% of the traffic here and 80% of the traffic there, but it's just using one link to do so. Or you could split it 50-50. And let's say you have 2 different graphics to a contest or 2 different graphics to an event that people are interacting with. You can see which one performs better so you know in the future. So A/B testing is a very powerful tool. Hopefully you're all utilizing that in some aspect of your workflow. You can also set it to scheduled redirects. So as you can see in my example on this page here, we have, I guess it was yesterday, the ULink would be directing to audience.io/Instagram. Today it'd be directing to /YouTube, and tomorrow it'll direct to /LinkedIn. And you can add several destinations and schedule those out. So if you want one link tied to one QR code that then redirects to scheduled URLs, you can do that within the scan tool. Also, this can be manually toggled. So, if it's something that you don't want to rely on a scheduler, but to go in and check after a certain amount of time, that can be toggled on and off manually as well. So that's how the dynamic URLs interact with a QR code that's scannable, and the different types of features you can use with that. So let's talk a little bit about use cases. This one I hear a lot, especially for those of you who have a podcasting solution or have podcasts as part of your media plan. But a lot of times with like Spotify, Apple, and various podcast streaming apps, you can upload a description with a URL in that description. Say it's a podcast sponsor. And once that's uploaded, you can't go back and change that. So by utilizing a dynamic URL or one of our ULinks in that description, you can change where that ULink redirects to over time. So if the sponsorship is no longer, I always hear sponsors for, let's say, BetterHelp, but if the sponsor is no longer BetterHelp, and you have a visit our sponsor at this URL, then you can change it to the new sponsor of that. And the links in those descriptions are no longer static. And there's other areas where that might apply as well. You're going to get tracking click-through analytics, and I've broken that down into a few tools within our platform as well. For instance, we get the question of, hey, we want to know who's clicking on what in confirmation emails. You can actually build out several ULinks, put those in the confirmation emails, and then you have data on who's clicking what within those confirmation emails. Because right now, just in our standalone confirmation emails, you know that people are clicking on things, but you don't know how they're necessarily interacting with several links across those interactive emails. And we currently utilize overlay boxes, especially on sweepstakes. You could tie a dynamic URL or ULink to that overlay box, and then you would know that people are actually clicking on that overlay box. A lot of times people will put sponsorships on landing pages and so forth. Again, we talked a little bit about the A/B testing, but here's the URL, the dynamic URL use case that I mentioned previously as well. Also, our ULinks are customizable, so you can personalize the shortened link. So you could create it for your brand or a sponsor's brand, as long as that is available. So you link, we own that URL, and then you could add /audience or /betterhelp or so forth. You can request that, and as long as it's available, you can secure that for yours or your sponsor's brand. And then it stitches data to the participant. We're all familiar with the cookie apocalypse. It's on the top of all of our minds. You know, how are we going to know who's visiting our sites, what their behaviors are, and so forth. This is very encouraging, though, to understand that if somebody is entering contests through one of the ULinks that's already tied to your campaign, so this is already available to you, there will be various data points that we are able to track and know and understand. That also comes with the dynamic ULinks in the scan tool as well. So things like IP addresses, location, device info, etc. So real quick, I want to go over how and where to use scan. I have several use cases here, but I think if we spent 10 minutes, we could brainstorm a million more. So I'm curious also if you want to throw in areas where you have used QR codes and have found success to kind of help everybody out. Feel free to throw those in, but I've cherry picked 6 or so that I see work. Live and connected TV. So you've been watching TV. We all know about that famous Super Bowl ad last year. It was just a QR code to scan, and it led to Coinbase. So that's, I think, where we really saw the power of QR codes. But live and connected TV, trade shows or concerts, live events, outdoor advertising. So for our radio partners or our TV partners, on your vans, on billboards, on pop-up flyers, posters, throwing QR codes on there that they know that you know, they could start streaming the radio station at a live event, or know where to find the news that they could trust. Then, of course, print ads and podcasts and streaming. I'm a huge YouTube consumer, and I've noticed even some of the biggest YouTube personalities, including Mr. Beast, using QR codes to promote their sponsorships or their personal merch lines on right within their videos. And it's funny because I watch a lot of YouTube on my phone, but on Saturday mornings, that's like my new equivalent of Saturday morning cartoons. I'm watching it on my smart TV, and if I see the QR code pop up there. So it's, again, a way to interact with whatever's in front of us, bringing reality to the digital space and converting traffic, views, links, and so forth. But that's not all. There's a few more things that I want to point out about Scan that I think you'll find very valuable and very exciting. We actually have built in an overlay template builder. And what this does is you can create using our Canvas builder, you can create overlays that could go right onto broadcasts, streams, video podcasts, and more. You can see that we have some pre-selected sizes here, but you really can just build this to anything you want. But the way that that could look is, you know, let's say this is our talking head, and during the stream there, you could pop up the QR code overlay that you've built right within our Canvas builder. Jumping back to that real quick, you can export it as a PNG file, and it can be various formats and pop right up right on that screen there. Also, you may have noticed when you entered the QR code to our giveaway today that it had some customization features. You do get a QR code designer to fit your brand. So I used our colors, and right in the middle there, you can actually see the audience logo. Various patterns, you know, squares, circles, stars, various shapes, pattern colors, backgrounds to make it pop. And then, of course, you can download that for print, or you can actually import it directly into that overlay builder if that's where you're going to be using the QRs. So real quick, as we round out the end here, if you have any questions that haven't been asked, be thinking of those. I do want to have a Q&A segment. It looks like we've had several questions asked and answered, but Ryan's going to pop up a poll here, and this is going to give us some important feedback on where we are with it, your attitudes around SCAN, and just seeing what your overall impressions are. So take some time to answer that poll real quick, and that will help us really understand what we're doing. I'll go ahead and share the results with everyone as well. But thank you so much for taking the time to answer. And while you answer, I'll just go ahead and jump through our summary here. So we've talked about the new app SCAN. It's not only QR codes, it's dynamic URLs. They work together to give you ways to consolidate your tech stack, to help your audience engage with your tools and with your services and content that you provide. And that's really the goal here. QR codes, they're here to stay. I remember when I first saw QR codes coming on the scene. I worked at a university 13 years ago in the marketing department, and I was like, what are these funky images that are popping up everywhere? And then, they were there, but we didn't really pay as much attention. Then, of course, the pandemic hit. Nobody wanted to touch anything, and QR codes came back, and that was the resurgence that they needed. They're here to stay. Dynamic URLs, this is something that I believe they are key to marketing success. Being able to drive traffic, dictate traffic off of one single entry point is huge. There are unlimited use cases, like I said. And consolidation of your tech stack and compliance, these are very important features that even we within Audience are looking to do with some of the services that we subscribe to as well. So we want to provide those opportunities to you, our valuable customers. And lastly, if you're interested in learning more or booking a full demo with SCAN, Ryan's going to throw in a link to sign up for that demo. Feel free to fill that out, and this will help us better understand what type of pricing and information we need to be able to get this added to your account. So it looks like we got a couple of questions in here, but let me go ahead and end our poll as we do. And I'll go ahead and share the results here. This might be helpful to everyone. So we get the question, it looks like we get this question, can branding or station logo be done in full color? If I'm understanding this correctly, currently there's a limited selection of colors that you can change the QR code to. However, the brand in the middle, that can be any color or colors that you want. I was able to match our audience logo with the overall color of the QR code. And so it looks like it was all just one color, but yeah, you can do it the color of the brand there. This is another great question here. What are the requirements for privacy notices with QR codes? That's one that I will have to look into. I don't have the answer to that off the top of my head. So I appreciate that question. We'll have to dig into that. We have another question here. Are we able to set our own customer overlay template sizes for layouts we might need used frequently? Yes, you can. So there is a customizable option, and you can save those templates so that you can reuse them over and over again. So great question there. And feel free to ask more questions. We have a couple more minutes on this webinar, but I do want to give the opportunity one last time to enter our giveaway. Again, you can go ahead and enter that on your phone. We've made a nice mobile experience for you there, and you have an opportunity to win $100 to Amazon. Also in the chat, Ryan threw in a link to sign up for our newsletter. If you're not already signed up for that, go ahead and fill that out. That comes out every Monday. And so it's a great opportunity to learn more about what we have going on at Audience. So thank you all so much for signing up for that. It's a great tool. Even I learn stuff every Monday. So it's awesome. And shout out to London and her team for putting that together. Okay, so we've had plenty of time on this screen. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap things up, letting you know that our next webinar is going to be May 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So you should see some communication about that. If you have any questions whatsoever, we do have our support available, our chat support from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, you can always email at support@audience.io, and our phone number is on there. And then we also have our help.audience.io help center or help desk.
Audience. Know your audience.